What's up, everybody? Jeff Moore's here of Think International, and we're here at the NACC. I'm with Monty Kelso of the Slingshot Group. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Nice to meet you.
Now, the Slingshot Group, you guys really focus on connecting the right pastors, new hires, and whatnot with churches and ministry organizations. Is that correct?
Yeah, simply put, we help churches find great staff and help great staff become better through staffing and coaching.
What should churches be looking for when it comes to good staff? Because there's a lot of turnover in church staff, you know?
Yeah, well, one of the reasons we exist is to try to shore up the turnover and help great people who are called into ministry land in churches where they fit really well and they can thrive and flourish and make a difference. But what are churches looking for? You know, all the givens. I mean, they're looking for people with a great heart and feel called to ministry, but great talent, you know, great ability, skill, gifting, where they have been very intentional about how they acquire their knowledge, the experience, and then they know how to apply it in the right place. Cultural fit is incredibly important. Yeah.
Churches seem to hire fast and fire slow.
Yeah, it's good.
Can you speak to that a little bit?
Well, I think oftentimes the people who are relegated to find staff are just in over their head. A lot of times they might even be volunteer on the staff. I really kind of think it takes one to know one in terms of identifying great staff. And one of the ways that we work to get it right is we recruit into Slingshot people who are very experienced in their area of ministry. They're trained, they've been successful, they've got a great track record. So when they go in to work with the church, they can assess the church well, they can help them figure out their strategy and their structure so that when we start the recruiting process, it's fertile ground for great staff. And we become that third party, those fresh eyes, that neutral person who can help match the right church with the right candidates and hopefully get it right by God's help.
Yeah, of course. A lot of churches, they like to hire from within. They like to kind of bring up in the organization. But would you say that there comes a point where that doesn't really work anymore?
Yeah, I think it's always great. If churches have a way to grow up their staff from within, that's the optimum way. But so many times we're about the task of ministry and we're not always great at developing leaders. So the alternative is to seek out great staff beyond your own network. And I think the great thing about Slingshot is our network is so vast and so deep that we're able to do nationwide searches for every kind of staff person a church could wish for, and coach them in that process, and help them get it right.
It seems as though right now in the church, denominational lines, movement lines are being very blurred when it comes to, you know, pastors coming over from this movement into this movement or this denomination and whatnot. Do you find that that oftentimes they end up being really, really good fits?
Yeah, I think we have more in common than we think sometimes, you know, across the different denominations. But I think as the generations get younger and younger, the lines do get more blurred, and there's not as many lines in the sand, even in theology. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I don't think we major on the minors as much as we used to. In senior leadership, senior pastors, senior teachers, there seems to be more of a direct path within a particular denomination because they're teaching theology and they're teaching doctrine. But in some of the other areas where it's not so theologically driven, but more just the function of leadership within the context of ministry, there's more crossover.
Right. Top 3 qualities for a church looking to hire staff. What should they be looking for? The top 3 qualities in a new hire.
It's a great question. I think the first thing is that fit factor, you know, and a lot of times we try to downplay the chemistry side of it. We think we're being unspiritual if we talk about the likability factor, and so there is that likability factor. You know, we don't minimize that. I think foundationally there has to be shared vision in terms of what kind of a church are we going after? You know,
Right.
what is our strategy for fulfilling that ministry? We've got to find alignment in that. If there's misalignment, then there's pain.
For sure.
So I think that's critical to the equation. What was the question?
Top 3 qualities?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That a
I think
church
it's
is
about
looking
2,
for.
Yeah. That a church should be looking for.
Yeah.
in a new hire.
I think a third quality that a church is looking for when searching for the right staff is that capacity issue. I mean, the stakes are high today. They just are high. And the younger the church or the more visionary the church is, the more we really need to hire people that know what they're doing. They can really bring it and not just talk about it, but execute what they talk about. So that capacity issue, we can't underestimate.
Sure. And from somebody looking to be hired, what should they be like? Because one of the things, definitely within there's like the interview process, and a lot of times the interviewee forgets that they should in a sense be interviewing the organization they're about to work for as well. So what should new hires be looking for in an organization?
Yeah, I think the same is true for the interviewee, for the person seeking out that place. What we try to help coach our candidates in is knowing the questions to ask, where they're not taking shortcuts just to get hired. And unfortunately, so many staff gets kicked to the curb the minute the notion is out there that they're considering a change.
Right.
So some of our staff ends up without a job. Some of our candidates end up without a job. And we have to help them not panic, trust God in this process, relax, and help them put a great portfolio together that really communicates who they are, where they've been, what their story is, what their gifts are that they can bring best to the church. I think we have to help them just slow down and play the process out. I mean, we coach them from everything from their real estate quandary as to how they're going to get out of their upside down house to what are the things that we need to be talking about as husband and wives, to where we're in alignment in terms of what our next ministry is as a husband and a wife.
It's huge.
It's huge. So we kind of poke and prod maybe in some areas where typically it might be none of our business. But part of mentoring is being able to love people enough that you pull the curtain back from their skills and their capacity, and you just lean in and love them with more than just face value, but really getting into the heart of the matter. Sometimes it's learning to unpack past hurts and find healing and find resolve to bitterness,
that's a big one.
so that when they walk into their next ministry, they're healthy, whole people. And that's a big factor for lasting.
Where can churches, organizations, and people looking to work at these find you?
Our website, I believe, is a great website. If you go to www.slingshotgroup.org, there's a clear path to understand who we are, both in the coaching side as well as the search side, both for the church client and the candidate. You can find us easily that way. There's some questions that kind of help us sum out what you're looking for, who you are, and then we're back in contact with you with the right people who are going to be in contact with you. So if you're a worship leader, for example, someone from our worship leader division will contact you and begin to get to know you and coach you through the process of getting your portfolio together and learn about you. We become a student of you.
It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Monty, incredible stuff.
Good.
Super good.
Thanks, Jeff.
Super
Enjoyed
good.
it. Yeah.
Think International, NACC, and the Slingshot Group.